Player ratings then: Everton 3, Salford City 0 at Goodison Park in the second round of the Carabao Cup. Carlo Ancelotti's team getting their second win in the last week, and this time a quite convincing win in the end. It wasn't the best performance, but listen, it's job done in the Carabao Cup. We'll dive straight into it then. Carlo Ancelotti made 10 changes to the side that beat Spurs on Sunday, João Virginia being the first of which he come in goal. I've given him a 7 today. Look, he didn't have an awful lot to do, did he, to be honest? You know, there was a couple of opportunities where Salford City put balls into the box and he come and collected them, or where the ball ran back to him and he dealt with it quite easily. He had it passed back to him a couple of times as well. He didn't just sort of lash it out. He dealt with it well and tried to find a man. So I thought he had a pretty solid game. Like I said, I've given him a 7. You can't really give him too much beyond that, I don't think, because although he didn't put a foot wrong and he done everything that was asked of him, he also wasn't really tested, was he? There wasn't many of opportunity that Salford City had. He didn't have many on goal, I don't think, either, to be perfectly honest, not off the top of my head. So he wasn't massively tested, but everything he had to deal with, he dealt with quite well. So I've given João Virginia a 7. My man of the match then, Niles Nkounkou at left back. I've given him a 9. I thought he was absolutely outstanding today from start to finish. The only consistent player I thought who for pretty much the entirety of the game was just brilliant all the way throughout. From his attack and play, really, really solid. Again, defensively didn't really have an awful lot to do, but everything he had to do, he done it well. But attacking, going forward, he was just ripping Salford to bits. The amount of times he beat his man and got to the edge of the box and put a ball across the box was just countless amount of times. And to be perfectly honest with you, if the striker, if Moise Keane, if Theo Walcott was a little bit more sort of switched on, then Niles Nkounkou could have had at least 2 or 3 assists today. He was absolutely brilliant, so physical down that left hand side as well, very, very skillful, very, very quick minded, gets the ball at his feet and knows what he's going to do with it, knows if he's going to go and beat his man, really, really fast as well, loads of pace. So for me, he is my man of the match today. I just thought he was really, really solid throughout, top performance. And again, a performance that I think Carlo Ancelotti will look at and think, you know what, maybe I don't need a left back going into the season. And I understand it's against League 2 opposition, and I understand the 2 previous games he's featured in have been friendlies against lower league opposition, but he's looked really, really promising. A lot of pace, a lot of confidence as well. Likes to get down that left hand side, likes to put balls into the box. Sort of looked like he wanted to get himself on the score sheet as well towards the back end of the game. So I think, he'll have really, really impressed Carlo Ancelotti today, and it was a top performance. Going into the centre half then, Michael Keane, the only player of whom have started both games so far this season. I've given him an 8.5, really, really good goal in the first half, of course. Ball coming from Gylfi Sigurdsson from the corner. Michael Keane rose like a salmon, very similarly to Dominic CalvertLewin's goal, actually. Really, really strong header, bullet header into the back of the net. And from that point on, I thought he was really, really solid. Again, defensively, done what he had to do. Looked after the ball, brought the ball out, really, really good passing. And his fitness looked really, really good as well, considering he played 90 minutes on Sunday and will probably play 90 minutes on Saturday against West Brom. He looked really, really solid. He didn't tire at any point in the game. He didn't look like he needed to pull up or come off at any point. He just looked like he was going out there doing his job. Done the job at the other end of the pitch as well by scoring, and was really, really solid. So I've given him an 8.5. Jonny Brown then, I've given him a 7. Obviously come off after 20 odd minutes or so with an injury. I thought he looked really, really solid before that point, to be perfectly honest with you. Looked really confident on the ball again. Something that would become sort of accustomed to with Jonny Brown, is those confident performances by himself, picking the ball up, knowing where he needs to play it, knowing what he wants to do with it, being really, really solid defensively. And again, you could sit there and say, well, it was against the League 2 opposition, but Jonny Brown is putting those type of performances in against Premier League opposition last season, against teams that were fighting for European competitions towards the back end of last season. So really, really solid performance by him in the first 20 minutes, but obviously massively disappointed that he went off with an injury. I think he was holding his calf or his ankle. Let's just hope, touch wood, that's not anything more serious than just a little knock on the ankle and a precautionary measure, because we really, really could do with him being fit, especially with Mason Holgate out. But I've given him a 7. Thought he was really solid. Luca Dean then come on and replaced him, given him an 8. Obviously playing out of his natural position, coming in at centre half, not the biggest player as well to play in that position, but he done really, really well. There was a couple of times at the end of the game where I thought were quite funny, where he was pushing forward and I think he sort of forgot that he was playing centre half and thought that he was still playing at left back, and he tried to sort of break forward. But again, really, really solid. Didn't have the greatest deal to do, but in terms of playing the ball around the back and picking it up and utilising the ball well, because there was a lot of passages of play. The defence, although they didn't have much to do in terms of defending, they had quite a bit to do in terms of picking the ball up and passing it round and making sure that they didn't make any mistakes. And Luca Dean didn't put a foot wrong when he come in today. Jonjoe Kenny at right back, then I've given him an 8. Thought he was solid today. Again, not an awful lot to do defensively. Passing was good, got forward a couple of times, put a couple of decent balls into the box as well. Looked quite dangerous, had a couple of shots as well. Again, he looked confident. Look, we're not going to be able to completely judge Jonjoe Kenny on whether he's going to be good enough to feature consistently in the Premier League this season until we see him in the Premier League. This was tough to judge him because we were against the side that weren't giving us much trouble going forward, and also obviously at a League 2 opposition. But he looked solid. He done what he had to do. Again, giving him an 8. Tom Davies in the middle, I've given him a 7. I thought he done okay, to be honest. Nothing spectacular, nothing that's going to blow Carlo Ancelotti's skirt up, nothing that's going to worry the likes of Allen or Abdoulaye Doucouré or James Rodriguez, but he done what he needed to do. He done okay. His passages were okay. Every time he lost the ball, he went back and got it back, won it back with an interception. And he also tried to play forward, which is something that we haven't seen an awful lot of Tom Davies try and do in recent times, in recent years. In fact, has picked the ball up and try and move forward. Usually he just wants to get it out of his feet as quickly as possible and move that responsibility on. But he actually tried to move the play forward and try and create opportunities today. So I've given him a 7. Gylfi Sigurdsson, I've given him an 8.5, similar to Michael Keane. Decent performance ultimately by Gylfi, a goal and an assist, of course. The second goal of the day, really, really smart finish. The assist was, of course, the corner for Michael Keane's header. Played in a little bit of a deeper role today, and a lot of people probably weren't as impressed with Gylfi Sigurdsson, and I've already seen a lot of shouts on social media. I think he got Sky Sports Man of the Match, which, don't get me wrong, I think's wrong, but I've seen a lot of people on social media already saying, how's he got Man of the Match? He was woefully dreadful. I think today, one thing I really, really saw from this game, certainly in the first half, is that I think we're going to have to get used to Gylfi Sigurdsson not playing in the same positions that he played in 2 years ago or even last season, because, whereas we're used to Gylfi Sigurdsson being in that number 10 role and supposedly being able to dictate games and being able to score world-class goals and change the game and be involved with the goals and the assists. And although he was today, I think what we see, and certainly in the first half from Gylfi Sigurdsson, was him playing in a little bit more of a deeper role, more like an Allen role, if you like. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to have, I don't think he's going to cause Allen as big of a headache as maybe Carlo Ancelotti would want, because he doesn't get stuck in enough, he doesn't throw his feet in enough, he's not physical enough to do that. But in terms of picking the ball up, getting it from the defence and passing it around and doing all that neat stuff, which he done today well. Again, like I said, he wasn't against an opposition that were pressing him awfully high. He wasn't against an opposition that were really, really going to threaten. But he done it okay. And in the second half, he sort of moved forward a little bit, become a little bit more attacking, and of course got that second goal. So I thought he had a decent game. I've given him an 8.5. Anthony Gordon, a 9. Again, very, very solid game. Put him in the same bracket as Niles Nkunku. Really, really, really tough game. In fact, Nkunku probably edges it for me. I'll probably give him a 9.5 actually. But again, Anthony Gordon really, really solid throughout the game, creating, trying to get forward, trying to create as many opportunities as he can. Unlucky to not score in the end, hitting the crossbar right at the last sort of 2 minutes of the game. But again, he was one of the players that I think Carlo Ancelotti will have looked at and thought, right, okay, I'm not saying you're going to start at the weekend, I'm not saying you're going to start consistently, but you'll definitely be a player that'll be knocking on the door and that'll be able to be coming in and prove himself. Look, he's still very, very young, still, again, hasn't been playing Premier League football for a full season yet, and he's is knocking on the door. He's showing his ambition, he's showing his want to play, his want to win, his want to get forward. A couple of really, really good moves as well down that left hand side. Very, very unlucky. He hit the bar at the end of the game, and he hit the post just before as well with a fantastic shot. So thought he had a really, really good game. Anthony Gordon today, giving him a 9. Theo Walcott, 7. Again, just was in and out the game, wasn't he? Tailed out towards the end. Again, was sort of on the end of every cross, but it was 30 seconds after he should have been on the end of it, and it had already ran. His passing wasn't too bad, but ultimately, he didn't really get involved as much as we would like. Had a couple of shots in the first half, but ultimately didn't do enough. Of giving him a 7. Moise Keane a 6. Look, Moise Keane scored, and that's probably quite a harsh score considering he scored, but he scored a penalty. Obviously he was unlucky at the bar twice, but for me, I just really wasn't impressed with Moise Keane. In fact, I probably put Walcott as a 6 and Moise Keane as a 7 purely on the fact that he got that goal, but I just really wasn't impressed with him today. This was the game that I expected Moise Keane to turn up and really, really take it to Salford and making uses of himself and make himself a real pain in the arse for those defenders. And obviously, like I said, he got the goal, he got the penalty, and he probably was unlucky to have not got another couple more. And And at the end of the day, if he scores an hat-trick, it's a totally different conversation. But he hits the bar from point-blank range with a header, which he should be doing better with. And the other header is a decent effort and a decent save. But I just wasn't massively impressed. I said in the instant match reaction, he looked at the start of the game like he had a few poor first touches and the ball was coming into him and he couldn't quite trap it properly. And then he just sort of never really wanted it from that point on. Every time the ball come to him from that point on, he tried to let it run across his body and then fall over to try and win a foul. And he just wasn't massively in the game. And look, I'm not writing him off. I'm not saying, oh my God, he's not good enough, he can't perform against Salford, so sell him. I understand that it's probably just a one-off game and that, you know, listen, he struggled. Players struggle. Hopefully he bounces back. Hopefully that penalty in the last 5 minutes of the game gives him a little bit of confidence and gives him that boost to look at the game and go, right, okay, well, I didn't have a great game, but at least I still managed to bury the penalty when given the opportunity under pressure. But I wasn't impressed with him, so I'm giving him a 7 today. And Bernard an 8 again, really comfortable, looked really comfortable in that midfield position today. You know, sort of adopting that number 10 role, but that floating midfield role where he comes and he picks the ball up, something that we haven't seen an awful lot from Bernard, to be honest, since he's been at Everton. Usually he's put out on the wing and he's maybe lost a little bit, but today he was allowed that free role of coming and picking the ball up and running directly through the middle at Salford, and I thought he'd done really well. Tailed off towards this in the second half, towards the end, and that's my issue with Bernard, is that consistency of being able to put that performance in for 90 minutes. He didn't ultimately put it in for 50, 60 and then sort of went missing towards the back end of the game a little bit. But he looked much better in that position than he has done on the wing for a long time. So hopefully that's an option for Carlo Ancelotti to go for. And Carlo Ancelotti, I've given him a 9. Look, job done at the end of the day. Made 10 changes to the side. That beat Spurs, and you know, ultimately the main goal for today was to step in and get the job done, win the game, and we done that. We done it. I wouldn't say it was the most comfortable performance because it wasn't, but we, at the end of the day, the scoreline tells different. We won 3-0 at home. On to the next round now, where we'll face Fleetwood Town away, I believe it is. That's definitely Fleetwood Town in the third round of the Carabao Cup. Let me know your thoughts on my player ratings. Let me know your thoughts on the performance as well in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out our instant match reaction, which is now up. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. We will be live tomorrow 5:15 p.m. with a live game review of this game, talking a little bit more in depth about the performance. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.